Hello everyone, this is Janali Patel and today we'll be talking about the second cranial nerve, that is the optic nerve. Now let's start with the topic. So optic nerve is the second cranial nerve. It is a sensory nerve that connects the retina to the brain. Optic nerve is a name given to the pathway between the eyeball and the optic chiasma. It is not a real nerve and it is the outgrowth of the thalamic structures. And this nerve doesn't regenerate if it is damaged. The optic pathway transmits the visual impulses from the retina to the brain. Moving further, we'll be talking about the field of vision. Now, field of vision is important as we are going to talk about the visual field. Now, the field of vision is the entire area which a person is able to see when their eyes are fixed in a position. That is, when a person is gazing at something continuously. Now, the normal field of vision is 90 to 95 degrees away from the nose, 70 to 75 degrees downwards, 50 to 60 degrees upwards or superiorly, and 50 to 60 degrees towards the nose. Now, the field of vision includes two types of fields. One is the nasal field and other is the temporal field. Now we'll be talking about the visual pathway, but before learning the visual pathway, studying the visual pathway in detail, we'll be seeing the 7 basic components which are involved in the sequence. And if we remember these, it will be easier to remember the sequence-wise pathway. So first one is retina, second is optic nerve, third is optic chiasma, fourth is optic tract, fifth is lateral geniculate body, sixth is optic radiation, and seventh is the visual cortex. So these were the basic terms needed to understand the visual pathway. Now let's study the visual pathway in a bit detail. As we know, the field of vision consists of two types of fields. One is the nasal field and other is the temporal field. In the same way, even our retina consists of two parts. One is the nasal part and other is the temporal part. So whenever an image is captured and information is obtained by the rods and cone cells, the temporal field information is received by the nasal part of the retina and the nasal field information is received by the temporal part of the retina. Now, after the cross connection of the impulses are received by the bipolar cells of retina from the rods and cone cells. Now, these bipolar cells are also termed as the first order neurons. Now, next, the impulses are transmitted to the optic nerve, which is made up of the ganglionic cells. And these ganglionic cells are termed as the second order neurons. And next, moving further, the impulses are travel to the optic chiasma. Now, optic chiasma is formed when the nasal part fibers decussate and enter the opposite tract. So, when the optic tract is formed, it consists of the same side temporal fibers and opposite side nasal fibers. Then moving further, the optic tract winds around the cerebral peduncle of the midbrain, and then the optic tract divides into medial and lateral roots near the lateral geniculate body. Now the lateral geniculate body receives the lateral root of optic tract. It is medially connected to superior colliculus and laterally it gives rise to the optic radiations. Now, neurons of the lateral geniculate bodies are termed as the third order neurons. Now next, the impulses are traveled in the form of optic radiation. Now, the optic radiations begins from the lateral geniculate bodies and pass through the retrolentiform part of the internal capsule and then ends in the visual cortex. Then in the visual cortex, the optic radiations terminate and the color, size, shape, motion, illumination are appreciated. Now the objects are identified and the impulses are passed back to the retina. This was the optic pathway. Now for the further remembrance and for clear concept, we need to correlate both the content present with us and the diagram present with us. Now let's have a look at the clinical anatomy of the optic nerve. So the first one is scotoma, which is the partial loss of vision and formation of a blind spot in the normal visual field. Now next is the hemianopia. Now hemianopia is a loss of vision in one half of the visual field, and it is a defect which occurs in same half of the both the eyes. Now next is optic neuritis. So optic neuritis is a lesion of optic nerve that results in decrease of the visual acuity. And fifth one is bitemporal hemianopia, which is caused due to the lesion of the optic chiasma. Now sixth is blindness. So as we have learned earlier that optic nerve cannot be regenerated back. So whenever optic nerve is damaged, blindness is caused. Thank you for watching. Now for more updates, please like, share and subscribe the video.